Hello, welcome to this webinar where we will learn everything about hands-on, step-by-step, how to catalog your Earth observation-based services and applications. My name is Bente Liljaby. I'm going to be your host today in capacity of being both a partner of NextGEOSS, the NextGEOSS Data Hub and platform, but also as an advisor for eShape. And you will meet several eShape experts shortly. So I will call upon my colleagues to turn on your cameras and your microphones so that the audience can see the expert they are going to learn from. So today we have a 1-hour program. As I said, it will be really hands-on. You will be able to learn step by step exactly how you can catalog your wonderful results from the eShape pilots, but also from other projects. It doesn't matter where you come from, but we are lucky to have the eShape family here, both as guinea pigs and experts. So we will learn from each other here. Now, first of all, you will learn how to prepare your data, and this will be guiding you with respect to how much resources you will need to prepare to catalog your information, your services. And then we will go step by step into exactly how this is done on the NextGEOSS Data Hub. And you will learn also about what happens behind the scenes. So again, so that you can calculate a bit of time and resources necessary. And finally, but not least, we will see this done on a very concrete example on an eShape pilot run by Deimos. So, and you will meet be introduced to the speaker shortly. But before we do that, yes, we will do the traditional weather reporting. And this is how you get to know us a little bit first. And I will encourage you to let us know what the weather is like where you are too. But we start here with the panel. So I can start with you, Helena. Can you tell us where you are and what the weather is like?
Yes, of course. Hi, Bente. Hello, everyone. I'm Helena Washington, and I'm joining you from Lisbon, from Portugal, just next to the river. So today it's a beautiful day, quite sunny, a little bit windy here, but looks very, very nice.
Excellent. And David, where are you and what's the weather like where you are?
Well, hello all. Welcome to this event. I'm joining you from Tres Cantos here in Madrid, next to Deimos office. Here, completely shine, sheer wind, lovely weather. So yeah, that's my weather report.
That's your situation, and yeah. You know. How about you?
Hi everyone, I'm also here from the Deimos team. In here, I'm also in Lisbon. So similar weather to what Helena described. So sunny, a bit windy, perfect for a spring day.
Excellent. I'm envious. I will come back to that. Carlos.
Hi, hello. It's Carlos Luque here. I'm working from Madrid in Deimos also. It's you know they say it's always nice the summer to arrive and everything. Well, now it's a little bit too much already here in Madrid. You know, Spain is very sunny. It's always nice if you're in the beach. You know, now working here, watching the sun and everything outside. It's a little bit painful, but it's so nice.
It's nice to look at least. Yeah. Yes, Monica. Last but not least.
Yeah. Good afternoon to all. Here is also the same situation. I prefer to go outside than inside today. It's very sunny, also joining from Southern Europe in Santiago de Compostela, St. Jacques de Compostela for you. Well, looking forward to the discussions, but here, again, it's nice to be outside than inside.
Yes. Well, I will give a weather report here from Norway. So I'm situated in Norway, just a little bit north of Oslo. And well, the weather is not that bad, but it's not really beach time yet here in Norway. That will arrive later, but it will arrive. I mean, we are not just snow and ice, even though another part of Norway has been really cold and with lots of snow. Okay, so I see that we have some weather reports in the chat. Thank you very much for that, because in the chat, you guys, you will ask the questions and also comment when you are listening to the presentations today. We really want you to be active. You have some material that you can, that some of you at least have been prepared to, getting introduced to what we are doing. To the material that you need to know before you are cataloging your services. But we will, for you to really make the best out of this, it's important that you ask questions, and don't be shy. You can ask very specific questions to your situation. Everything is interesting. Even though from other pilots, from other areas, not even NextGEOSS or eShape, we will learn from your experience and your challenge. So don't be shy. First, I appreciate the weather reports. Ulf, Francesca, Alexia, Miriam, and Savala, welcome to this webinar. Before we really start, Monica, this is a webinar, but we are cooperating NextGEOSS and eShape. And Monica, you will be the face of eShape really in this event.
Okay. So yes, indeed, this webinar will provide, or we hope that we provide for you a step-to-step how to quickly make your applications and services easy to find. It's about discoverability. So eShape somehow, with more than 60 partners, more than 35 pilots running and ongoing onboarding process, wants really to foster this user uptake. This is the main goals, and also facilitate this shared understanding on how the information can help different communities to support most effective these challenges. So we have a kind of eShape motto that bringing together the European communities to ensure this optimal implementation of EuroGeo. So for supporting these base benefits, EU-based benefits to the range of stakeholders. So bringing here to communities, we have the eShape community, the NextGEOSS community together, building something together. So based on this, and eShape is also building some EuroGeo actions, also supporting the Geo flagships or other type of initiatives, and NextGEOSS now being a community activities, a ways to embrace these communities once more. So having this scope, we have invited, as you say, we are testing how eShape pilots could do this process in a very guided steps. We invited basically the full scope of eShape pilots, but more specifically, we have and discuss with few pilots that are with more advanced TRL, so they could really go into this process. But it's for all of you, because if you are not now in this step, you may be in this step in 1 year ahead. So it is very useful for you to better understand how you will, how the steps you will need to do maybe in 1 year time. So basically with that scope, and now leave the floor for the rest of the colleagues, because they will show you really the hands-on experience.
Exactly, and thank you, Monica. And Monica, you will leave the room at your convenience, so that when we have a Q&A at the end, I think I forgot to say that we have really a Q&A at the end where we also can invite you to join us here on. It's like equivalent to go to the stage and take the microphone and ask your question and or a comment, anything you have on your mind. We are interested in listening. So you can raise your hand. You will see that you have to the right hand side, just there's a row there of icons on the bottom there. You see there's a hand. So when you raise your hand, I will be able to invite you in at the Q&A session. But during the entire workshop webinar here, you are more than welcome and encouraged deeply to ask questions and comment. So, and Carlos, just to say that you are here to really be a part of the discussion session. So before we do start the program here, I would like to learn a little bit more about you and your role.
Okay, it's well, here in Deimos, we have this approach of splitting. There's this philosophy, which is the DevOps where you split tasks in the software development. You split them between development task and operational task. We'll have the honor to coordinate this operations team. So, well, here there are some colleagues that are experts on the software development, the applications, configuration, everything, and also an operator. And well, my role normally it's to ensure that services are provided at the time, freshly, smoothly, without a problem. And if any problem arrives, nobody sees it. No?
Yes, exactly. So, and thank you for that, Carlos, because NextGEOSS, as some of you may know, NextGEOSS was funded by the European Commission, and that project period is past. But we, several of the partners, are committed to continue to serve the community. So NextGEOSS is really here to stay. And here you see the persons who are committed to do that. So we are very glad to have you here from the operations side, Carlos and David.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So with that, I think you will get to know more about the speakers as they do their presentations. So I think we can start then with you, Nuno, because you are actually going to address the phase of the cataloging before you go to the NextGEOSS data catalog. So how to prepare your services and stuff. Sorry, all the things. Yeah, yes. And introduce you briefly so that we know a little bit more about you also, Nuno, before you start.
Okay, sure. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nuno Grosso. I'm part of the Demus team responsible for developing EO-based applications, so Earth observation-based applications. I've been in Demus for 7 years now. My background is environmental engineering. I have a PhD on remote sensing applied to air quality. Then I kind of browsed through the different thematic scopes of remote sensing, first working on land management, now going a bit towards more the maritime part. So it's been 15 years at least working in remote sensing. And that brings me also here.
Excellent. We are excited to hear how we can prepare our services and applications, and probably some data as well. So the floor is yours, Nuno.
Yes, I will share my screen. Okay, I see that you can see my presentation, correct?
Yes, and we will turn off our cameras while you are speaking, and then we will turn them back on when we are talking, all of us.
Okay. So, as Bente said, I will be guiding you a bit through the preparation stage of this cataloging of data and or services. My main focus would be to present you a bit with the metadata models that you would need to comply to be able to be harvested by the NextGEOSS catalog. You'll see that those metadata models follow standards, and that allows that if you follow those standards, if you provide information on the service or pilot that you are developing, on the application that you are developing, and the data sets that are the outputs of your services or applications, if you follow those, you could catalog your data in your services in NextGEOSS, but you could also catalog it in other catalogs that follow the same standards because they are international standards. So I'll walk you a bit through that information that you need to provide for the data and for the data sets and for the services. So I will focus a bit on the metadata information that is visible there on the NextGEOSS catalog. I'll let David on the next presentation to talk a bit more in detail on the catalog itself and the process within the catalog to interface between service providers and the catalog team to be able to harvest all this catalog, all this metadata that you are going to provide. So I start now with the data product information, so that the data metadata that you can see there an example of for one specific data collection linked with the territorial planning pilot application that Demus developed in NextGEOSS. So that product metadata that you saw there in the catalog, that you can see, that you can browse in the catalog, by doing, for instance, spatiotemporal searches within the catalog. That follows an ISO, so it follows an international standard. It's the ISO 19150, and that's an international standard. And that, by being an international standard, like I said, it ensures interoperability with the different catalogs that you might have by other catalog providers. It's typically a very verbose standard, meaning that it declares a lot of information for the different data sets. It's focusing on semantics, so it's really basically it's really customized. The fields are really are really descriptive in terms of what they contain. So you are able to navigate through it in a very straightforward way. It's targeted to geographic data and information, so it's basically thinking about the specificities, the requirements coming from geographic information. It's easy to provide a template. So that's one of the first steps towards in this process. It's for you to be provided with a template that then you can take in and you can adapt to your dataset collections. And of course, that's what I already said. It ensures interoperability. So you see an example here on the middle of this slide of this XML file that will be the outcome of that will be associated with each product file that you have from your application. From this, we take a NextGEOSS metadata format that has a set of mandatory fields. So the ISO has a lot more fields, which shows a set of those that we divided into mandatory fields and optional fields. Those optional fields refer then to resources or extra information that you need to provide. The resources is if your metadata is associated with a resource that you are making available somewhere, so you need to describe that resource. So I'll go into a bit the information from the mandatory fields in the beginning. So for the mandatory fields, you have to put in a title. That will be the name displayed in the dataset front page. It is a string, and in the XPath, this is just for your information, for you to navigate within the XML file. So by the end of this this presentation, and when you start interacting with the catalog team there in NextGEOSS, you'll be provided with an XML file template, and that XPath is just a way for you to navigate via the XML file to find the field where you need to fill in this field. So the title is located there on that XPath. Then you have two information that's provided offline, meaning not in the XML file. So it will be provided in the ticket that you open with the NextGEOSS cataloging team. So the collection name and the collection description. Okay. And then you go to a fourth field, which is the notes. So basically, you can see here the title corresponds to this field. So if you see in the first slide, we had like a metadata product window here. In that window, that first title is the title of your product file, and then you have the notes. That's also a string, and that's a description of a short description of your data set that's given then in the NextGEOSS catalog here below. So still in the mandatory fields, we then have a spatial field where you need to provide a bounding box. So they're basically one field per each cardinal point, and you'll be able to provide the bounding box for your product, for the data products that you're going to let NextGEOSS harvest. So those are one coordinate for the top, bottom, left, right that you need to provide for each product that you're going to harvest, that NextGEOSS is going to harvest. You have an identifier, so an ID used for the two-step search to identify the product. So it's a string, and it should be unique. The idea is then that it's a single identifier that identifies that product. So you need to make sure that that's unique. You have a set of tags, so a list of keywords, where again it's one keyword per field that has this XPath, and it's typically a string. And those tags are basically ways to characterize the thematic scope of your application, or whatever you want to describe or whatever you want to associate with the data sets that you are harvesting. Then you have the time range start, which is the start of the time interval of your data product, and that follows an ISO format also, and this is described here. And the time range end, which follows the same ISO format, and that reflects the end of time interval of your data product. Okay. So then we go to the optional fields, and if you remember, the optional fields that I showed previously covered two areas, one the resources and the other the extras. So I'll go first to the resources. So the resources is, again, if your data product is associated with a resource that's located somewhere, you should fill in these fields. So these fields are basically the name, so the resource title displayed in the front end. So this is, you can see my cursor. If you can see my cursor, this is this part basically. Then you have to put in the description, and this is the lower part. In this case, it's I think similar or equal, but you can put in whatever information you have there that describes that resource, and you have the URL where that resource is located, and that will be associated then in the catalog to the download button of the catalog interface. Okay. And then finally, you have the extra fields, and those fields are usually used for meaningful data that allows a better understanding of the product or to expose who is the data provider. And in here, so you have here several informations that are basically collected automatically if you fill in the other fields that I mentioned. But three of these that are shown here are the ones that are related to the extra fields. So you have the algorithm. You can identify the algorithm that we use for processing, and that's typically located in the lineage. You have the IPR. So if there's any IPR related to that application, it should be described there. And you have the point of contact. So who is the point of contact? You can. So in this case, we just listed Deimos, but you can also list a person, or that's the point of contact, and the contact of that person there in this field. And these fields are typically not used for searching, so not like the mandatory fields where you can search for each one, but just for display purposes, just to provide more information on this on the data products that you are showcasing in the catalog. So now we move away from the data products, and we go to the services. In the NextGEOSS catalog, if you have an opportunity to browse through it, you can also find inside the thematic areas, you'll find different applications or pilot applications that were developed for NextGEOSS. We hope soon to have also the ones developed in the scope of eShape. And for each one of those, we have a service metadata, a model or fact sheet that we display on the catalog. And I'll explain in a very overview way what that entails. So basically, this is also an XML file that follows the ISO 19139. It's also an international standard to describe a pilot application, and that allows interoperability with other catalogs, similar to what I described for the data products, but in this case for the pilot description. There are many available online tools that support the generation and validation of such file, like the Inspire metadata editor, the ArtSheets plugins, the QGIS plugins. So there are different options that you have there. We used in NextGEOSS the Geo Network Tool that's available following this URL. You can see here a screenshot. I can quickly browse through it. So if I go here, so you'll enter here. I'm already logged in. You'll be asked to log in. I think in the presentation that David will do, you'll provide you with where in the process you'll be provided with the credentials to enter this, and then you'll be able to enter into this NextGEOSS pilot template. The NextGEOSS pilot template, you'll have different informations for the pilots that if you fill them in and you basically save and close, it will generate the XML file already completely compatible with the harvesting of NextGEOSS catalog, already with the fields filled in that are required for the NextGEOSS catalog, and you'll be able to directly have your pilot page there on NextGEOSS. So it's a very straightforward. It has the advantage, unlike what I described for the data, that it's in a form format. So basically, you can there's already some predefined fields here. For instance, the presentation form. All the options are here, so you can choose from those. Of course, the title, you have a title for your pilot application, the date of publication. So it's very straightforward to fill this in for your pilot. The point of contact here also, the keywords. So you have things that are a bit not repeated because it's a different scope, but are similar to what you had to put in for your data sets, okay? And then you can add also your associated resources, so the online resources, the social media. So all of that are resources that can be put into the pilot page, and that will be available here. So you can see here that the pilot page that I've just showed you is available. All the information is available here. Okay. So it's a very straightforward process. I would say even more straightforward than the one for data products, because for data products, you'll need to generate one XML file per each data product that you produce. So you'll have to automatize that process, and you'll have the presentation from Helena, focusing a bit on how we did it for the NextGEOSS pilot, and hopefully for you it will be as simple as that. And that's all on my side. So I'll pass it over to David to describe a bit the NextGEOSS cataloging process.
Thank you very much, Nuno. Before we go to you, David, I see that Monica has a question, very practical question for you, Nuno. She is saying, you are showing us how to prepare the metadata to be cataloged, but could you point us on how much time is needed, approximately, to have completed the metadata preparation?
So, sorry, let me put in the camera. So this will be the focus of Helena's presentation. So as she goes through the process of what we did in the pilot, in the NextGEOSS pilot, she will tell you a bit on the effort part that was necessary to do this process. So this will be covered by Helena.
Excellent. So now, because I assume that this is interesting when you are planning your time, we are all very busy, right? So to have some ideas on how much time is required is good. And looking forward to your presentation then, Helena. Meanwhile, I think David is going to talk more about what happens after you have prepared your metadata, your services, the information that we need. What happens then, David? Introduce yourself briefly first also. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bente. Well, hello, everyone. My name is David Lorenzo. I'm a space engineering in air navigation student, and I've been with Carlos in this operation team since September 29. So yeah, I would like to go to you all about how we do operate with this cataloging process that starts with the data preparation that Nuno has described before, in order to have all these products and service cataloged under NextGEOSS. So I will start with my presentation. Let me share my screen, and
yes.
And if I can, oh, I have some kind of issue. Just wait a little bit.
No worries.
I'm having some issues with my presentation.
With the presentation or with the sharing?
Yeah, with the sharing feature. About just got stuck in the
David, if you want, I can share, and you can tell me to pass the slides if you want to.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do. So let me share the screen again with you. Okay, you can start, David.
David?
David, can you hear us?
He's probably...
He's left the room.
Yeah.
Probably there's some internet issues there.
It could be. It could be. And if that's resolved, maybe he will be able to share his screen as well when he...
Sorry.
David,
yeah,
are you there?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, he's back.
I'm sorry, you all. My navigator got stuck. Nuno is sharing his screen. So we'll start to guide you all with this cataloging process. First of all, let me tell you, we have developed specific procedures in order to have these services and these products cataloged, always based on a close and direct contact with the customer through our service desk platform. These ISO model files that have been described by Nuno before are joined with additional information that is provided by the customer, and once everything is on point, the procedure runs very smoothly, so the catalog data can be available just a couple hours later. So the main purpose is once the clients have all the data they want to catalog, following the ISO models Nuno described, give them the option to straightly have it cataloged and displayed on the data hub. So Nuno, if you can so NextGEOSS Data Hub has a feature that allows everyone registered into the catalog to contact us as NextGEOSS operational team in order to either catalog their services or their products. So by selecting this feature, we got redirected by the catalog to its help desk platform, where client can raise a lot of requests, each one related to a different catalog feature. But for now, related to this presentation, the link your data request and the service cataloging request that you're seeing there are the ones that are the important ones, let's say. So if you can move on in the next slide. What do we need in order to start the process? How are these requests filled? Well, ISO model files are common factor in the processes, and depending if the customer wants to catalog their service or the products, we request different additional information. Nothing related to XML files. In the first case, with service cataloging, we require the customer to give, like you see here, a thematic area. This thematic area is a label that we request in order to classify the service, and we give the users a preliminary idea of what type of data are the services inside of them going to have. And next slide. This information goes into the request raised through the help desk platform. As soon as you see create the XML file, the required information goes straight into our hands. So we can straightly integrate it into the catalog with several internal procedures. And similarly, on the next slide, if the customer wants to catalog their product data, here is the preview of the request that they should raise in order to get us to catalog their products. We request, as Nuno said, with the ISO model, a data collection name, a data collection description, in order to correctly link the product requested to catalog to its respective service, right? So yeah, once we receive this type of information with this type of requests, our procedure to create them and display it into the catalog does not take longer than 1 day, right? And we use this help desk platform to keep a close contact with you all in order to clarify any kind of issue that may arise that could be delaying the process, like issues with the XML files, maintenance, scheduled tasks. But yeah, once everything is the cataloging process is completed, we also send a notification straightly to the customer, ending this service and product creation process. So that is theoretically how we work, how develop the cataloging process, with the starting point of the customer, as Nuno said, providing the required data, the compliant data and information. And I'm guessing now my colleague Helena is going to show you a practical case of the process that I have described to you all regarding the demos pilot. So Helena, I think it's all yours.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for this introduction. I think, Nuno, I will try to share my screen. Hope it works.
And Helena, before you do that,
and I will introduce myself.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Sure. So my name is Helena Washington. I work for Demos Engenharia in Lisbon, Portugal. I've been working here for 2 years together with Nuno in EU application and more precisely in data science team. And now I'm responsible for developing services related to land application like forestry, for example. In NextGEOSS, I was involved in a pilot which provided classification of land cover land use for area of Lisbon. I'm originally from Poland, and there I did my PhD on river ice monitoring with SAR data. And today I would like to show you how our pilot products were cataloged at NextGEOSS tool. Okay, so we had a pilot. Our story starts like this. It was about territorial planning. On the right side, you can see land cover map for area of Lisbon. So here we have our beautiful city. And we use Sentinel-2 data to develop this type of maps. Our package contains the TIFF, so the main product where you have classified image like this, and XML file, but this in XML file contains only names of classes. So XML file that you see here was developed only for visualization purposes of this product on your right side. And during the work for NextGEOSS, we developed in general 116 products. So I wanted to have all these 116 products catalog in NextGEOSS. So first we started with cataloging the service. So we went to the website, we went to this catalog your data, then to NextGEOSS service desk, to the service catalog. And in this case, as you saw before also at David's presentation, there are like several options. But in this case, we used this beautiful tool from Vito to generate XML file. You see here like a part of this XML file, like where you have a description of this service. So that it's who developed this product and what contains and how they can be used, so on, so on. And then when you have XML file, you drag and drop here. So I would say to register the service, it takes 5 minutes. I would say it takes more to think what you want to put as descriptions than the whole process. And then the service cataloged. So to catalog service, it's very, very fast. this is the way how it looks. This is how it looks on the website. And as also Nuno showed, you can add like other materials, and you can put some other metadata. It's quite flexible. So, for example, here you can see it was a poster that we presented at one conference. So you can put also here posters, videos, whatever you would like to share. And then there's next step. So for now, I catalog the service, the general information, what I developed. Now I would like to put my product. So the maps of land cover that we developed, this 116 products that I developed. And to be honest, this step takes longer. Before we had only 5 minutes, this one will be a bit more. So as I mentioned, we used Sentinel-2 data to generate land cover maps. And our final product, so these classified images, they also keep the name of the Sentinel-2 tile. Why it's important? Because we need to get information about spatial extent and some temporal metadata. So spatial extent I get from this secret code. Basically, it's the code for Sentinel-2 tile. And the date I take from the date of acquisition that is also stored in the name of my product. From the NextGEOSS team, I received a template to generate XML. Here I just show the main points. Then, of course, when you develop, it's much longer. You see in total 314 lines in Python. And this is the work that I had to do by my own. So in this first part, I had to connect the code from Sentinel-2 tile to a WKT extent. So for example, this Python dictionary, I had to prepare myself. Then the main part, I would say, it's to put informations that later will be saved in the template. So here I put information about the name of my product, or actually I taken it from the name that I have in this very, very long name of GeoTIFF file. So the name, the date, date of creation, some points I can, some metadata I can put fixed. For example, information where I store all products. If I store all products at the same date, I will just put a fixed date here. I also put here information about this bounding box, which is taken from my dictionary based on the name of my product, or actually based on the Sentinel-2 tile that was used to generate the product. And then in the last point, I just put this information to the template that I received from the NextGEOSS team. So answering the question how long it takes, in my case, I would say that taking into account like everything, so like getting this information about the extent of each Sentinel-2 tile, and like thinking, okay, what to put here, which information I want to store, I would say like maybe 2 hours to generate XML files, to prepare this template, because then when it's prepared, I can catalog 116 products, as it was in my case, or I can catalog like 500 products, doesn't really matter. And then when I had XML products, one important thing that also I will refer later to it. It's a storage unit. It's a link where I will store my products, and this link will be provided during the cataloging my products to the NextGEOSS. And then when I have already my XML files for all products, I go to the catalog, and I start preparing these forms. So what you can see here, it's like the real information that were used when I was cataloging the NextGEOSS pilot. So some of them are obligatory, some you can fill or not, depends on you. So this is what we chose. And here you need to provide the information where about your storage unit. It's quite important. And then you can see on the right side, this is a screenshot that I received from NextGEOSS team. So this is how this ticket that I was just generating, how the ticket looks on their side. So they have like a summary of what I requested. And from this moment, it's NextGEOSS team who takes care of my products, and they catalog it on the NextGEOSS. And how it looks in a practice, you can see here, there is a description of the pilot, or actually in case of NextGEOSS, it's called service. And then you can see my products, 6 examples of my 116 products that were cataloged. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Helena. Thank you very much. And there you have the whole life cycle, not the whole life cycle, but from the very beginning, before you enter the NextGEOSS Data Hub until you have your products cataloged and visible on the catalog, on the Data Hub. I see that. Thank you so much for the questions. I also have some questions for clarification. So maybe we should go through that before we start. Any of you have any comments so far, the speakers?
I had so basically the time that Helena was referring to for different steps are a bit then. So the 2 hours is a bit, so the preparation of the script, right, Helena? Or and the 5 minutes is, of course, how to fill in the form and send it. Of course, there's time that you need to take to analyze.
I think it takes much more time takes to think what you would like to put there, which information you would like to share, what is important. For example, for the service, if you want to add some extra materials, if you want to add some posters, videos, papers, whatever, it takes for sure much more time that this technical process that I showed now.
So yeah, so it could take you some days to analyze the different how you want to organize your data. For instance, what Helena showed there, the linkage between the spatial and temporal, it might not be as straightforward as it was for ours, or it might be even more straightforward for in your case. So the analysis time it's what takes a bit more time, because then the development of the Python script is very simple and straightforward to implement. If you have the XML templates that the NextGEOSS team will provide, or if you, so that's true for the data products. For the service application, it's only one XML file. You can follow the template given by V2. It's extensive, but it's quite straightforward to fill in. And in the end, you'll have your metadata file done. I think it will take you no more than some days within the week to figure this thing out and then to operationalize it. Maybe at most 1 week of your time, at most. Huh?
No. I even remember that at some point we decided to change something in the description of the service, and then already after the service has been created, and then I create a ticket at the service desk that with description that I would like to change this and that, and it is also possible if you, after all, you think, okay, maybe it will be better to remove one information and another. It's also fine. It's not that if you create it once, then it's like forever. Not really.
Okay, so I had a question concerning the description of your service. Now we are looking at the service, and you said that you had basically the spatial and temporal information. That's what you needed to prepare, right, Helena?
So yeah, so there are like I would say that the most important, and then if I'm wrong, David could correct me. The most important, because we are talking about geospatial data, so it's information where you provide your service, or for which area you develop your products. So this is crucial, and also the information about time. So it presents, for example, in our case, we provided land cover map for Lisbon, but the city changes, the area changes. So we need to also inform like that it's not only for Lisbon, but it's also for Lisbon in July 2020, for example. So I would say this is the two crucial elements that have to be provided: spatial and temporal.
Yeah, so that's the minimum for your services. But then we know that other type of information, so what type of service, what type of thematic area is this service suitable for, and all that other information, that other metadata is also going in that process with the time and the spatial and temporal description?
I think I can answer that. That was your question about the feasible of your service. I mean, we have this list of thematic areas I've shown, and of course we can also create. There's always a first time, so we can create a thematic area related to a service that hasn't been created before, in order to have this new service correctly cataloged and give the users a correct approximation of what kind of data they're going to find them. And yeah, we're open to create this, to evolve this list of thematic area to make your service fit in and give this idea of what data is inside them, you know. So I think that would be my answer. So yeah, it's pretty smooth.
Yeah. Okay, so I will not take up all the space here. I will go directly to your questions here, and I have more, but we will give the floor to the attendees. So Lazaros is asking, you have to manually create one XML per image. I think that was asked while you were speaking, Nuno.
So I think I can address it. Yeah. So what I had to prepare manually, it was this MyPython script to fill the template. But then, at least in my case, I had information stored in the name of my product. So I had this spatial and temporal information stored there. I didn't have to create it. So I created the script, and then the script created me 116 XML files. I would say it really depends how your product are structured. If they follow the same pattern, it's easier. You can automate it. If it's like, if they are vary a lot, then perhaps you will have to do it manually.
Right.
So it really, basically it's really, so you can already generate your metadata file while you're producing the data, for instance. And if that's the case, for instance, when you're processing the data, you'll have access to the spatial information, the temporal, so you can already include that in the metadata file. We've done it in the two-step approach. Basically, we created all the output data products, and then we went through the output products and generated the related XML files. But for sure, there's a way to automate the process that's specific to your case. In the case that we shown, that Helena shown, is based on the file naming. And then, of course, other information that's also outside of the file name. But all of that can be optimized for sure in your case.
Yeah. Just to remind you that you can raise your hand, because some of the questions is probably best to be answered in the back and forth a little bit, so that you can refine your question if you are not getting the answer directly to your question. But before so just raise your hand. I will take you according to the number, to the order that the hands are raised. But first, I will go through the list. But raise your hand if you want to discuss more specific problems with your applications and your service as well. As I said, you are more than welcome to do that. Use this opportunity. Ulf, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to skip you, but you have an important question. You're addressing it to Nuno, but I think several of us can answer it. Seeing the EGI icon at the lower part of your slide, I assume that data sets are stored in the EGI cloud. We were using EGI in NextGEOSS. Since EGI is a Horizon 2020 project, what happens after EGI project ends, or asked differently, how sustainable is the current cloud solution and thus the NextGEOSS Data Hub? I can say immediately that EGI is not a Horizon 2020 project, but I think we can speak to the sustainability and the access to cloud anyhow. Who would like to expand on that? Nuno or Carlos, maybe?
I can give you a first sense, and then I'll let Carlos, because there are two different things. So one thing is the sustainability of the data hub itself, of the NextGEOSS data hub, and for that Carlos can speak of it much clearer and in a much more complete way than I do. But regarding the data sets where they are stored, for the NextGEOSS catalog, it doesn't really matter where you are. If you want to link your metadata of your data products to a specific resource that's located somewhere, it doesn't really. So you can even, just as long as it's available to other people, so it's that you can access it, and you can map it in the resources part of your metadata. It doesn't need to be in the EGI. It doesn't need to be in a specific cloud provider that's related to NextGEOSS, for instance. You can be in your own infrastructure, just as long as it's accessible by others, and you map it in the metadata of your data product. So in that, for the data products, there's no dependency on the EGI and on the continuity of the EGI or any other cloud provider.
Yeah, and regarding the sustainability, well, for as long as NextGEOSS is going on, or we are providing this service, we have several choices or solutions in store. I would say we've done it before in the past. We've migrated from this cloud provider, from one cloud provider to another. Been the process quite smooth. All the data, all the services, everything's already owned by us. And we can move just as fast to something like Cloud Sigma, for instance, or something like that, if needed. For the time being, it's working nice. One of the things we do in operations, we have this set of procedures that we have to run every day, not only regarding tickets about new service requests or anything like that, but also low-profile ones like monitoring the cloud, for instance, and see how the usage, if it's too intense, or if we need to move to get some more resources, something like that. So it's something that we have to. I mean, I have to assure that we are always going to find a way of keep on the service working. Even in EGI or somewhere else. If EGI sometime at some point won't be able to grow as our needs grow, we'll have to move, and it will be smooth the transition.
Yes, absolutely. I will also like to add that CESNet has committed to serve the NextGEOSS Data Hub and platform for 3 years beyond the NextGEOSS project. NextGEOSS Horizon 2020 project period has ended, but we are running beyond that. And as a matter of fact, and Nuno, you are already using NextGEOSS and thus providing more resources to NextGEOSS through the NextLAN. And you also have the project, and you also have NextOcean, and there are many other activities where we are continuously working on securing the resources necessary to have this running. But as you heard Carlos said, they are in Deimos, they are committed to have this operational in a professional way continuously. And Monica, you are building on that questions to Ulf, from Ulf. It is important, sustainability is an important topic to be addressed. And a few more words maybe on, Monica is asking, how does NextGEOSS platform upgrades or update on basis on the sector's very dynamic evolution. So there's always technical evolution going on. So NextGEOSS is not stopping the world in what we develop there. So there's always something happens. So Carlos, maybe you can speak a little bit to that as well.
Yeah, it's once an evolution, it's been prepared by development teams or in terms of needs of the cloud provider, whatever. Well, we have this I would say moral obligation. We try very hard not to interfere with the service at any time. So normally we try to use out of office hours, but since this is a global service, sometimes that is not strictly possible. So what we do is we try to notify in advance by several ways to the users that the service is going to be interrupted for the time period that we need to update upgrade the system. Normally, in the past, all upgrades that we've performed were around 10 minutes time. It's not something huge. That's regarding the plan maintenance, the scheduled maintenance. Sometimes you may have a problem. Those are the ones that I try to hide or make them unnoticeable by the users. If there's a problem, I cannot promise that there will never be a problem that will stop the system for a very long time. But normally, you hear the trumpets of hell if the systems collapse, and we are all running to try to find a fast solution so the system is back up and running. But so far that hasn't happened.
No, and as a matter of fact, a part of the platform, the NextGEOSS platform service, is monitoring the functionality, the quality of the services, right? So yeah. This is a systematic developed.
Yeah, we have a daily procedure to do that. So we can gather data information from the machines, but also from the services if they are up and running healthily. So well, I want to be very fast. That's a yes for that question.
So for that's the sustainability part from the operations side. From the financing part is exactly as you said, Bente. Basically, we are constantly looking for opportunities to be able to continue NextGEOSS throughout the years going beyond the timeline of NextGEOSS, which is already finished. And so basically, we have ongoing projects that will assure that the operations of NextGEOSS will be constantly online and be able to integrate the data. And that goes towards another question that's there on how we aim to catalog data from other platforms or catalogs. We have specific requests already from different projects to do that, and we keep on receiving those requests, and we'll keep on answering those requests based on our availability, of course, to increase our data portfolio or metadata portfolio as the years go by.
Yes, and Monica, just you answered one of the other questions of Ulf. Ulf, you can raise your hand and we can invite you in, by the way. It seems like you have a lot of interesting questions for us. But Monica, she's saying there are many platforms catalogs running. Why should you use NextGEOSS catalog and no other? For instance, you have the GEOSS, the Global Earth Observing System of Systems platform of GEO, the group on Earth observation. And how are they connected? Is there a link between them? You know the answer, but who's going to answer it?
So there's a clear link to it. Yes. Since they're all part of the same infrastructure, the same number. There's a number of hubs connected to GEOSS. NextGEOSS happens to be the European Data Hub, but it follows the same. So their interoperability between these different catalogs, different platforms, is assured by following certain standards. So if we follow all the same standards, and we're making sure that we are linked as we were throughout the NextGEOSS project, we assure them that all the data that's available for NextGEOSS is also available for GEOSS, and we are able to harvest all data provided by that's in GEOSS and vice versa. And so that assures the interoperability that I was mentioning. If you want to complement.
Actually, I will go further. I will share my screen to show you how that is working. Let me see if I can do that. So you can see here on this on the side, this is the data. What you see, I'm sharing the data, NextGEOSS data catalog. This is the opening page you will see, and you see here that we are linked to GEOSS here. And on the other side, if you go on GEOSS platform, you will also find NextGEOSS on the yellow pages, and you will also find some of the data is already discoverable via GEOSS. So there is a technical through API connection between NextGEOSS Data Hub and GEOSS platform. So indeed, if you find, well, I know both of these systems, and I can say that cataloging your data on NextGEOSS is a breeze compared to a more elaborate procedures on GEOSS. I'm not saying that you should not catalog your data and make them available on GEOSS. Both are valuable, but if you have limited resources, going to NextGEOSS will be like a fast way of sharing your data and your services and applications with globally. So there's definitely a very concrete link between these platforms, and we are collaborating because GEOSS, the Global Earth Observation System of Systems, as you said, Nuno, is really, we are linking all these systems together, these platforms together, and we are steadily improving the discoverability across and make the interoperability of this data hubs. Any other comments on this issue? I think this is important because, well, Monica said initially that both eShape and NextGEOSS, we are part of EuroGeo, which is a European Caucasus or regional geo here in Europe. So we are both contributing to geo at large. So you are in that way as well through both eShape and NextGEOSS. Let's see if I yeah. Anybody wants to answer, Ulf? And if you combine different catalogs, how would you check for data doubles?
I think I can answer that. We have this inside these operational procedures we developed a way to find out if there is a data doubles, as he says. So once we try to catalog or to display one service or one product in the catalog, we just could not. So the operations there runs very smooth. So I said we are not on cases of which we have data doubles. So because of that, because we have a service, let's say an identifier that identifies the service or the product catalog. So this as they are unique, like Nuno said, we could not generate a product with two different products with the same name. It just should be different. So summarizing, it's a unique identifier, which leads us to not have this kind of problem checking data doubles. So
excellent, thank you. And Francesca, you are asking, can you tell us more about the data discovery? How does it work? Will, for example, Google find out my data and services?
The answer is yes. Google has this feature called Dataset Search, and if I can now share my screen without issue, I think I can do. Yeah, you're seeing it now. Search from NextGEOSS, let's say essential biodiversity variables, or let's say NextGEOSS. And here you have all different data sets provided. Here from NextGEOSS, you can see also all the dates, the facility that provides the data sets. So in terms of discoverability, yes, Google allows or NextGEOSS allows Google in its mutual, let's say, work, allowing this discoverability of products that makes this type of data, very discoverable. So users can access it easily. We recently had a case of a Turkish student which requested some kind of data. This discoverability topic is it's provided by Google, and you can find also as I shown a list of data sets regarding the any kind of topic you want to search. So yeah, very discoverable.
Excellent, thank you. I'm moving fast. I see that we are 10 minutes past the hour. I will be moving fast. I hope you can stay on a little bit longer. Monica, what if our pilots are not ready yet to be cataloged? What do you show today? What you show today will be as same guidelines than in 1 year time when our pilots will be ready? So can they wait? Can they use the information today in next year, or do you have any suggestions?
So that's the advantage of using a standard. So if you're using a standard to describe your metadata, that standard will hold throughout time. So of course, then you can choose if you go a bit deeper on that metadata standard, and if you want to describe more about your data products or less. I think, for instance, the example that Helena was showing for the pilot, it's not very in-depth analysis of metadata information that we have there. And for that, it's quite simple and quite easy. And those metadata fields will be maintained throughout time. So we don't have to worry about that.
So what you say is that now that the information is fresh from this webinar and from the guidelines, they can go straight home and practice on whatever they have, no matter what stage it is, and then they will be able to update that later on when their products or services are more mature, right? That's what you're saying,
Yes.
Yeah, and you said, Helena, in any case, and David and Carlos, that you can all the time, you have your description, your definitions of the metadata, but you can always send a ticket to the NextGEOSS team and they will be able to update it, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Service desk is for that. Sorry, go. Excuse me.
Yeah, I just wanted to say how it was from the user point of view. So there is when you're registered to NextGEOSS, you can easily access service desk. So with any issue, you can contact the NextGEOSS team, and you can ask them easily to replace some part of metadata, or even you can provide a new XML file to do it.
And Carlos, how do you handle that?
I mean, no, it's just even if there's no plan on that, but what might happen from a year from now, it's that the setup of the elements that we've been shown today will be a little different, but the data that is needed in order to perform the task, it's the same, it's needed. So I mean, I don't think there will be any changes on the layout, but even if there is, it will be like this clear,
Yeah. So this is useful no matter at what stage you are in your pilot, in a niche pilot or any other pilot. And Francesca, from a pilot perspective, when would you recommend to start the process of preparation? For example, if a pilot has data to be discoverable, and then when the application based on that data is ready, should the pilot do a two-step or just one once the application is fully ready to insert?
Maybe I can take this question. So I think that as soon as you are ready to put some preliminary results and like this description of your service, I would suggest to catalog it, and then you can add the products or data set that you produce. I think it's also good that as soon as you put it, even like description of your service there, people can already find it, like through Google or however. So it also increases your visibility.
Excellent. Monica, if my data source has been already cataloged in the GEOSS platform, is that recommendable duplicate? Is that recommendable duplicate to cataloging process, or because my application is different, is not needed, as anyhow you are collaborating? I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think with respect to cataloging services and application, this is not possible yet on the GEOSS platform. It probably will be in the future, but we don't know exactly when. But this is what is unique to the NextGEOSS platform, if I'm not mistaken. Carlos, Nuno, or David for that, or Helena. Have you made any? Yeah.
So the GEOSS data hub, yes, indeed, I think it's more suitable towards data sets and not the service or applications.
Yeah.
But the question then for Monica is, if, for instance, data is being cataloged in GEOSS, can we expect that it's already appearing in NextGEOSS? That's a good question. I don't know the details about. I don't know if Carlos knows, or if we can ask João and then get back to Monica about it, because I'm not sure if it's that harvesting of or the GEOSS datasets is done already automatically, or you should anyway, for safekeeping, also do a ticket request on NextGEOSS to make sure that the data is there, and not assume that since it's in GEOSS it will be automatically transferred to NextGEOSS. I would say that the best way was for you to raise a ticket. Yeah.
That's correct. I think maybe that's something I can try to get the answer offline. Maybe, as you said, talking to João, the responsible of the harvesters and everything. But yes, I don't know that either. Yeah, but it's
but as I said before, the help desk platform not only helps users to get their services and products cataloged. It's also a way to communicate with us in order to have answers to some questions related to this process, not related to the specific requirement of, hey, I want to catalog this service or this product. I mean, finding answers to this type of questions. There's a help desk also available to raise that request, not only cataloging request. So yeah, we are available there to answer everything related to that topic. So yeah, I'll say that.
Yeah, in general, so I have been involved in this with Geo actually since the very beginning, so many years, and I know that you have this issue of, you have the global system of systems, right? You want, Geo is created so that it will be easier for everybody to find in a coordinated way any type of Earth observation. Now, you have topical and thematic and community specific databases and systems as well, and one does not exclude the other. So Geo is provided a larger visibility and easier to find discoverability for your data. Now, having it for instance, on NextGEOSS, what is an advantage for you is that one does not exclude the other, by the way. One does not exclude the other. The thing that a low threshold, a low barrier way of cataloging and making your data discoverable is actually through NextGEOSS, because it's so easy to be. It's not required a lot of work. It's you see here the team that is ready to serve you. The procedures are very simple to work compared to others, and you will reach the Geo community at the same time. The Geo community, so GEO's platform, if you catalog there as well, which I recommend that you do if you have the capacity to do it. I mean, one does not exclude the other, but it depends on what other type of activities you are doing. It depends on your community, I would say, whether or not you will do it twice, both on GEOSS and on NextGEOSS. But ideally in the future, it would be necessary just to do it on one platform, and through the system of systems, you will be able to find it anywhere. But the more the merrier at the time. You know, it's not that easy to find data. Yeah, I'm sure several of you know that it's a little bit of a detective work to find both data and services. So the more places you have it, the bigger possibility to be found. Yeah? More questions? I think I emptied. If I did not see all the questions, I just got a comment from you, Helena. I'm reading it loud because you tried the Google dataset with the keyword Lisbon land cover, and the second results on the Google data search was via the NextGEOSS. So
yeah,
you see,
exactly.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, because David showed us that he put NextGEOSS as a keyword in Google, and I thought like, okay, but maybe some people just are interested in land cover, for example, land cover for a specific area. They don't care from where it comes. So I did this test for Lisbon. The first result I can say, or I can actually share my screen. The first result is something that is difficult to compete because it's a European agency.
Yeah.
as you can see here. And the second result already is a NextGEOSS. So I think it's a good recommendation.
Yeah, good for visibility. And this is
Exactly.
and this is not something that GEOSS currently is able to do. So that's an argument to go here. Let's see. That was one more thing. Yes, Helena, that was for you, because you were saying that one of the metadata, one of the lines, I don't remember which slide it was, but you were saying that this particular line was referring to the storage of the data, right? And because this is a NextGEOSS Data Hub is a metadata data hub, so the catalog of metadata. But of course, you want to use the data. Because you want to use the service, and having a direct link to where the service in this case is of great importance. And I think we have a little bit of pride in NextGEOSS that this is, one of the qualities of our data hub, right, Carlos and David, that we should have, we control that the links are working, that you can actually get access. Either it's open, it's no problem, you can get directly to where the storage is, and you get what you want. In other cases, you have to ask for it, but you get the direct line, right?
Yeah. Yeah, as Nuno said, is doesn't matter the storage unit you want to use. As soon as you provide us the necessary access to them, it's all good.
Yeah. So if you're a service provider, this is an important point for you, because via NextGEOSS, then they get direct addressed and returned to you, right? So making it easy for your users to reach you. Yeah. Okay. I don't see any more questions. No hands raised. I would like to share with you the result of the poll, because I had one poll this time. I was asking, have you developed, or are you developing services? And it was 27% of you answered that yes, indeed, you do that on a regular basis. 54% says, yes, I am, simply. So, and 9% say no, but I want to, and 9% are not quite sure. We hope that you will see NextGEOSS as something valuable that you can make use of, both here in Europe and also beyond, reaching out to other platforms and hubs like the like GEOSS. Any final words that you think we should say before we leave?
We are
I can say
available
that even if you are scared of going and generating XML and you have no idea what that XML means, even don't worry. I also didn't know. It's no problem there. It's maybe it looks worse than it is in reality.
Right. Don't be scared. That's one message. And Nuno, do you have a message as well? Or you adhere to? You agree with Helena?
For sure. I think it's basically start interacting with the NextGEOSS catalog team, and you'll see they'll guide you through the process. If you have any doubts, they will be there to answer your questions, and you'll find it easier than it seems at first.
Yeah. Just go ahead and test it. And David and Carlos?
Well, I would just say, we have the best people, the best team in terms of the development and and experts. We are putting all the efforts in being able to put you in contact with this service desk. Whatever question you have, if we cannot answer it with our white book of questions and answer, maybe just ask directly to these experts. And we are there for you. So it will be easy and smooth and just as it has been.
Thank you. David?
Yeah, it's pointing what Carlos said. We are here. We're here for you. We are here for giving support, answering your questions, cataloging your service, your products, whatever you have and want to share. And yeah, as smoothly as we can run.
Excellent. And I would like to add to that we are running these webinars. We have the NextGEOSS webinar series. And if there are any topic that you want to dive deeper into, we can summon the expert from the Data Hub. I'm sure that the team, Demos team and the TerraDuo team and all the partners behind NextGEOSS is ready there to serve you. I'm ready there to serve you. Let me know if you want to run a webinar. We are more than interested in learning about your pilots and how you want to serve your community. So let us help you if you think that is possible. Okay, with that, until the next time, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your very good questions. And we wish you the best of luck with your pilots. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.